Hey, how you doing? Welcome to another chapter of Comments from the Peanut Gallery. We have been having a little problem with a bear tearing up the fence line, so you're going on a walk with me to check it out, make sure he didn't do it again. Anyhow, we are at the November 2nd, 2020, and today I run the risk of having you think I'm a fruitcake, but that's okay. In the crazy stuff that's been going on, this world's gone kind of like completely Fruity Pebbles, nuts. But I take an example from what Jesus said to his 12 just before he was going to the cross, when things were going to go really sideways. Oh, fence is good right here. He didn't tear it up. No, it's all still intact right here. This is where the bear had been coming through along the edge of the swamp and kind of ripping it out. And then we had to, anyhow, we're going to continue walking. But what did he say? Let not your heart be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. So he says, in essence, he was saying, if you got troubled times going on, think about my Father's house. You go, really? His house? This is something that I have looked at very closely, only from Scripture for, maybe the past 7 or 8 years. I was curious about some stuff. Well, you know that the word heaven? Here, you got some dust on you. Let's fix that. Yeah. There, that's better. The word heaven is the word, if you check it out, it's really the word for space. Space. The atmosphere above the earth, and then the atmosphere that's just close in where your oxygen level, because you got oxygen level, and then you got the first 850 miles into space, the heavens around the planet, and then you have outer space. When it's talked about in Scripture, the word heaven is actually describing space, not a place. The word heaven, as it's used in Scripture, is describing space, not a place. Remember when he said, and he was asked, "Oh Lord, teach us how to pray." And he said, "Our Father who art in space." He says, "Our Father who art in space." He's out there someplace. Well, okay. What about his house? In my Father's house are many mansions. Well, there's lots of stuff about it. Oh, the fence is still looking good. There's lots of stuff about it. Oh, you can find, and it's usually talking about his house, his home, his tabernacle. Okay? That's usually the way that it's spoken of in the Word. But it's... When I told my sister about this once, and I was talking to her, and she says, You mean it's like Star Trek? His house is magnificent. He describes it very explicitly in the next to the last chapter in Revelation. Gives dimensions of it. It's absolutely huge. Equal in size, displacement size to the size of the moon. Okay, it's really big. 1,500 miles by 1,500 miles by 1,500 miles. And when you get to saying something always or never, you got to be careful what you say. If you say always or never, Okay, here comes one. Nowhere in the entire Bible, never, ever, 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 does it ever indicate or say or insinuate that his house, his tabernacle, ever sets on a planet, ever. Never, ever, in the whole Old Covenant, New Covenant. That is a never. But when he talks about it, always he refers to it where you are living on the inside of it, not the outside like you would on a planet. It describes it having mobility, the ability to maneuver through space, has directional mobility. It's out there someplace. It's quite fantastic. But it's our Father who art in space, hallowed be thy name. So, it's a good thing to think about. It will help remove the stress that you're facing. Helps me remove the stress that I'm facing at times. I just think about the Heaven Castle ship. The Heaven Castle ship. You know, every term that's used about the ship is feminine gender. She's a beautiful ship. She's a magnificent ship, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. Yeah, Jesus is the captain on that Heaven Castle ship. He's the captain, but all the terminology that's used, especially in the New Covenant, okay, Revelation, last couple chapters, feminine gender. And when it says, oh, the streets are paved with gold, you go back to the Greek and look. And the exact terminology that's used is the expansive decks, pure gold. You live on the inside of the ship, not the outside. The Heaven Castle ship. It is not bound, locked into an orbit. It is not locked into a solar system. It is the most magnificent mobile home you've ever seen or ever will see. Astronomically huge. I'm going to throw one more thing out there. In the chasing around over the years that I've done with the size of this thing, the way that it's described, I'm going to, in my opinion, the size of this thing, the floor space, 3 times the surface area of the Earth. Okay? That's what I come up with. 3 times the surface area of the Earth. In playing with numbers, and that it can be, that it is a place that is similar to what you see around you here. Lakes, rivers, hills. Talks about rivers, talks about trees, talks about stuff to eat in there. Anyhow, we'll pick it up again about the Heaven Castle ship at another time. Until then, enjoy the journey.